Chapter 30. A New Job. Kara. I hold Blue until I'm sure he's asleep, murmuring little nothings under my breath until he's gone fully lax in my arms. With him asleep, at least one problem is solved. There's still the issue of the technically illegal package in my basement. When I first saw the seal on the packaging, I almost had a heart attack, but the sender information cleared up most of my concern. It all looks more official than it really is, and I'm sure it was by that idiot's design. I want to smack myself for not considering the possibility first. Of course he would be using the royal seal. He's a member of the Army Corps, and the package was going through official lines. Idly, I'm rather excited that the new method of tracking and delivery had as much success as it did. It's supposedly based off a line of blood magic, though the resident mages changed so many of the fundamental principles that I don't think that it should really qualify as the parent field. It's not precise enough to track the package to the person, especially without the required blood samples, but they must have made some truly revolutionary strides if they were able to send the package to my room based on the signature of my magic, or whatever, as the inner letter so helpfully supplied. The box really only held a smaller box, insulated for travel, and a letter with a copy of the royal seal done up in intimidating size, repeating who this package is meant for and giving orders to destroy the package if it has come into another's hands under pain of death. The formal and honestly scary tone made me glad that it was my name, over and over again, and my brother's rushed but obnoxiously elegant handwriting on the inner box. Blue lets out a contented noise and burrows closer to my chest. I can't help but smile at the display and run a careful hand through his hair, going over the exact words of the letter in my head again. Dearest little brother, you mustn't be mad at me. You know I wouldn't break your claim to sanctuary if it wasn't something of dire importance. That being said, if you're reading this, that means that the new messenger system we are trying to work with was successful. Even more incredible because we don't have any more samples of your blood. The field mages down here had to make do with the signature of your magic, or whatever. You were always better at understanding them than I was. The enclosed set of seals and runes inside are tied to my blood signature, so it should be a reliable way of getting your responses to me. If you got this. I wouldn't be contacting you if we weren't desperate. The war in Puaj is going... good would be a stretch, but it's going. Magic is so specialized here that we're having some difficulties fighting the more trained battalions, but we're holding our own against them. I would never train my forces so sloppily that they can't survive a couple of mages. It's not the forces that are causing the trouble. That's the distinction that the officials keep misunderstanding in my reports. They keep sending me more soldiers, but the issue is the desert. It's killing them faster than any enemy forces. They just don't want to accept that. And as if that's not bad enough, when we take new territories, they blight the ground when they run. All the fringe territories get blighted out of fear. By the time we get there, the people are already dying. It's senseless. And none of our lovely generals that haven't stepped foot onto a battlefield in over 50 years seem to see the issue with that. My soldiers are dying, and it's really starting to mess with their minds. They don't want to help civilians anymore, and we're a short fuse away from getting ugly. I need your help. As amazing as the new messaging system works as it is, I know you would have figured it out a million times faster. They're refusing to help me, and the Crown isn't allowing me to make it a publicly funded project. But they can't stop me from making it a privately funded grant for student work. You'll put all those established magisters to shame with your work anyway. We can hold out for a while, and the next supplies shipment is right around the corner. But this needs to be done as soon as possible. You have time, but not much of it. Enclosed in the box, you'll find several soil samples of the blighted land. It's different in composition from local soils, and it's also a different kind of blighting compared to the Lintora crest near home. It must be a different type of spell, so I doubt any of the public research will be of much help. I need you to find a cure for the blight, little brother. If anyone can do it, it's you. I've included my own notes on the baseline land conditions and weather patterns, and the sample with the black lid is a baseline sample of unblighted soil. There's a tube with local variety crops that some of the civilians provided too, if that will help. I know I'm asking a lot. In the bag, underneath the samples, you'll find the grant money for this project. It should at least get you started. I have no idea how much or how long this will take, but that's only because this is absolutely unprecedented. I wish you all the luck in this world should you accept this task. Either way, you should know that sometime in the next 4 months they're going to publicly announce the loosening of border restrictions on Duran. The war has been over for years now. I don't know why the political officials have kept up the pretenses for this long. As you know, this will be followed by several good faith gestures and some new trade deals. The word is that they've already sent one of the princes across the border. The information is a couple of months old, so there's no real way to know which family is responsible for him at the moment without asking the royal advisors, but you know how common magic is up there. More than likely, they've sent him to your dream school. Stars. Little brother, I don't even know if you got in. I don't know if you're reading this or if it's lost to the astral sea. Please, if you are reading this, respond. You don't have to take this task. I just want to hear from you. It's been too long. P.S. I've included a little treat for you. Something I found in the dunes, and it's brought me immeasurable joy. Take care of it, will you? You need some kind of companionship. Always yours, Jet Ritan. The treat was a little sand elemental, confusedly thumping on the edge of the glass vial that was housing him for transport. The elemental settled into the workshop nicely, but it doesn't like to be touched. It slides through my fingers whenever I try to pick it up. It does seem to like my pencil cup, though. It found its way into the thing and wouldn't leave. Idly, I'm proud that my brother had to use secret army magic to track me down, though I'm pretty sure the spells could only send, not reveal a location. There's enough anti-scrying charms in the yard to occlude the whole neighborhood at any rate. They didn't find me. The package did. I still can't believe what I read. Over and over, I turned the pieces over slowly in my head. The package is all only technically illegal, because messages over the border are still forbidden under the current arrangement. At least non-military messages and shipments. I'm certainly not an official military receiver, but I am technically receiving an order. I turn the job assignment over in my head. Find a cure for Blight. It's impossible. Just as impossible as it sounds. The power and devastation of the Blight is written into our very scriptures. It's the most ancient of curses, the most devastating of magics. Though I suppose mages have thrown their lives away chasing stupider pursuits. And I suppose I have a hard time limit. I can't work on this my whole life. I have to find something workable before the idiots who make decisions get my brother's whole division killed. Finite time limit. High stakes. At least the pay is good. The coin he's included is certainly better than any first-year grant. It'll keep me afloat. Well above that, actually, even with all my new expenses piling up. I fall asleep trying to make any case I can against taking the job, even though I know I've already made up my mind to try. I just don't want to get my hopes up. But even still, I've never been able to say no to him. At least I'll have an excuse to dive hard into the library resources. When I wake up, I'm confronted by the undeniable fact that Blue's quite a snugglebug. In the night, he seems to have octopused his limbs around me to the point that I'm pretty sure it'll be impossible to get free without waking him up. He does look content, at least. I don't know how he can stand to be touched by me, let alone get held and cuddled. But I suppose I should have recognized how much he does like to be held. The second sun is just making its break over the horizon, and I know I've indulged myself in this for too long. I'm just glad I don't have to bother with any of the garden duties today. The Almacs have had enough of my fussing, practically chased me out of my own backyard. They're shedding like mad, though. I'm picking up stray feathers from every corner of the yard. I'm pretty sure the only way people have managed to collect as much from them as they have is by finding the remnants of nests. In any case, my morning routine is thrown off. I settle for scratching behind Blue's ears until his little half-awake croon becomes a more conscious purring. Blue gives me a wide-eyed, slow blink before burrowing back into my chest with a rumbly purr that I can feel all the way in my chest. It's adorable. But we do need to get out of bed. Aw, come on, sleepyhead. Unfortunately, we have to get up. My lilting tone must be enough for Blue. He opens his eyes again and lets out a supremely adorable little squeak. Yes, master. Blue's voice is scratchy and low from sleep, but he carefully unwinds his body from mine, giving me space to sit up. His eyes are half closed, and as adorable as it is to see him sniffing at my warm spot, we've lost enough time already. I pick out some clothes for him and send him out of the room. It's a lab day for potions, so I don't bother with anything too complicated. A nice tunic should be fine, and at least it'll be comfortable. There's some stuff I need to get out of my workshop. We're all supposed to be making a simple healing draught, but that potion takes substitutions and exchanges well, so we're supposed to bring in our own components and see what we can do. I'm planning to keep it simple, stick to the recipe for the most part. But Androden marrow is easy to switch out for carry feather. Almost any feather that has a positive aligner and an amplifying effect would work better. The carry feather is creative and makes a more potent draught, but it's sometimes a little fickle. Nevertheless, I think it will be something fun to work with. Hopefully it will at least impress the professor. I'm not sure what I'll need in the course of my research, but it never hurts to have the favor of a supervisor. There's a timid knock at the door, and I sweep my eyes across the room. Blue hasn't left anything in here. Did you need something, Blue? I speak loud enough for my voice to carry through the door, but hopefully without the tone that he seems to interpret as angry. I'm just about finished folding my sash down, so I don't mind if he walks in. Instead, he keeps the door closed, settling for speaking through the door. Master? There's something odd in the kitchen. His voice is quiet, like he's leaning his forehead against the door and whispering through it. That doesn't make what he's saying any less concerning. A whole variety of things came into the house last night. Anything from the samples of foreign soil to the untempered magic to the magical creature in my basement could pose a risk and shuffle all of the safeguards I've had in place. I open the door with a little more force than necessary. Blue looks a little concerned, but I don't give myself the time to examine it further. I run down the stairs, ready for fire, a wind wraith, a sentient ficus. But the kitchen is exactly the way I left it last night. Messy, for sure, but nothing's dangerously out of place. There's no terminal reactions happening here. Just the soup and the racks of cookies I was making last night. Blue's bell tinkles quietly behind me. He's approaching the kitchen slowly, wary of the space and its unfamiliar contents. I pinch the bridge of my nose and try to will away the giggling at the back of my throat. Blue, this was me. You don't have to worry about this. I was just really tired last night, so I didn't put any of this stuff away. I was a mess last night. Most of the time, cooking helps me clear my head, but in extreme cases, baking is required. Blue looks up at me like I'm crazy, before schooling his features and seeming to file away that information like it has critical importance. The orange crystal on the counter glows a solid 3 bursts, and I have to hide my head in my hands to try and suppress a groan. That's Shauna's crystal. We picked up the echo stones a few weeks after meeting each other. The stones are linked. They'll glow when either one is touched, and the patter struck will continue until it is answered in some way with the other piece. We came up with our own code, something that would help us communicate over some distance without having to run a courier. 3 bursts is permission to come over, but Shauna has always treated it more like a warning, less like she was actually asking. She's coming to the house, probably to pick us up. I don't mind the ride to school. In fact, I really appreciate it. but I'm not ready for someone to come by. Stars. Okay, Blue, remember that door I showed you that leads down to my workshop? I need you to grab one of the extra empty bags in there, along with my school book. Can you get that? I rattle off instructions, looking for Tupperware I can use to store this mountain of cookies. Oh, and can you grab me about 3 carry feathers? They're a component for class today. Of course, Master. What do carry feathers look like? Blue wavers at the entryway of the kitchen, ready to fetch the supplies, but hesitant for some reason. The jars are labeled, Blue, you can't miss it. We have to hurry. I have no idea how long ago Shauna told me she'd be coming over. I don't mean for my voice to come out as derisive as it does, but we really don't have time for this. Blue hesitates for another moment, but leaves without protest. I breathe a sigh of relief and set upon the task of making something that Blue can have for lunch while he's at the care center. The place seemed nice, but looks can be deceiving. I just want to make sure he's taken care of. I don't want this to be one of those terrible experiences Blue keeps being exposed to. At the very least, he'll be surrounded by others of his kind. That's got to be comforting in some way. Back at the market, Blue was kept in a solitary cage. It'll probably do him good to be on the same level as someone else. Maybe it will help him open up if he's able to talk to somebody freely, devoid of the implicit threat of punishment. The lunches I pack are identical, and as I'm packing up the last of the cookies, it occurs to me that there's really no better icebreaker than food, and the attendant did mention that all food restrictions don't apply to food that's brought in. I set aside a box for Blue and a couple for myself, rationalizing that it is entirely moral to start a friendship with bribery.